A frightening weekend in the capital city. This map says it all. 6 shootings in about 48 hours, leaving 1 person dead, 7 others injured. Residents across town now searching for answers.
Our Lenitra Bennett hit the streets today talking with those who live nearby the shooting scenes. Lenitra, what kind of reaction today?
Julie, a lot of people that I talk to, they are scared and they are shocked. And it's sad when you have to say that it's a good thing that only 1 person died in all of these shootings. The fatality is still sad to everyone. I went to a couple of the areas where the shootings happened over the weekend. Several people told me things have gotten worse over the years. For Casey Scott, it actually hits home. Friday night shooting on Saxon Street happened at his house. He says his friend was shot while hanging out with some girls.
You don't want anybody you know to get shot. So, I mean, ask me how it feels. I mean, you ever lost somebody? I've been close to losing somebody you know. It's not a good feeling.
Authorities have not released any additional details at this time on any of the shootings or victims. If anyone has any information, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously by calling 850-574-TIPS. A lot of the people, again, say they are shaken up by this, and it's actually changed how some of them want to live or where they live. We'll hear from some other people coming up at 6 o'clock, plus we'll hear more from Casey Scott on the shooting of his friend. For now, guys, back to you.
Okay, Lenitra Bennett. Certainly a lot of people talking about this right now in Tallahassee. Thank you, Lenitra. In a separate case, a man's accused of firing shots into the air along South Monroe Street. No one was hurt there. This was Saturday night, just after 8:30 in the Piggly Wiggly parking lot. Tallahassee police say 26-year-old Rontarius Pendleton fired 6 shots from a semi-automatic handgun. At the time, the parking lot was packed with hundreds of people celebrating FAMU's homecoming.
Tragedy once again on the same stretch of road in Leon County. A fatal crash just after 7 Sunday evening on Spring Hill Road near O.H. Hudson Lane. The Florida Highway Patrol says 48-year-old Mona Arnold's car went off the road, hit a tree. Troopers say she was trapped and unresponsive as the car caught fire. She was pronounced dead at the scene. A woman died in a crash on that same stretch of road in July.
Saying goodbye to a groundbreaking local leader today, former Mayor James Ford was laid to rest.
Flags are flying at half-staff across the city in tribute to the first African-American mayor of Tallahassee. Our Marielle Carbone was at Ford's funeral this morning. Marielle?
Julie, Eden, friends and family piling into Bethel Baptist Church this morning, remembering the late James Ford. Now, people remembering him as a veteran, a political leader, and a mentor. Now, as you mentioned, he's most well known for being the first African-American mayor here in Tallahassee, leading the way for former Mayor John Marks and now current Mayor Andrew Gillum. Now, Ford really leaving his mark here on the city, establishing things like the Minority Business Department, the first community center on the South Side, and the Affirmative Action Office.
He was a humble guy with all of those accolades that he carried around with him.
He's the person who never stopped being involved in this community. He never stopped caring about the community. He always gave good advice, solicited or unsolicited.
Ford is a Tallahassee native, a graduate of FAMU, and a World War II and Korean War veteran. Julie, Eden, he passed at 91 years old, serving the city of Tallahassee on the commission for 14 years. Reporting live from the Governor's Club, Marielle Carbone, WCTV Eyewitness News.
All right, Marielle, I think we all laughed when she said solicited or unsolicited. He cared and he let people know it. Thank you, Marielle.
Time for a live look outside now, and we're dealing with some thunderstorms moving through right now, but the good news is they're bringing in cooler air.
Can we say this is actually going to happen, Mike, or is it still wishful thinking?
I think we can actually go ahead and say it. It's been a long time coming, and it'll feel extra nice because of all the heat that we've had so far in October. But as you just mentioned a moment ago, ahead of it, some decent-sized thunderstorms, even a few that have had some very gusty winds. Now, the line of thunderstorms, it's a little bit ahead of the front, and the front's kind of the cooler air is going to come in two pieces, a little bit this evening, but more so overnight into tomorrow. But first things first, take a look at some of the storms. You can see they're moving down toward the southeast, but we've seen a couple. This storm here, as it moved out of Leon into Wakulla County, had some gusty winds, and seeing some gusty ones now very close to Alligator Point. It could be some 30 to 40 mile per hour gusts, and also had a very strong one that moved out of Hamilton County to the northwestern parts of Suwannee County. So a few of these do have those downbursts where you might get a quick shot of 30 or 40 mile an hour winds, and that's strong enough to certainly be rough if you're outside, maybe even cause a few power outages. But the strongest, again, moving down through the coast of eastern Franklin and coastal Wakulla County, and also over into Hamilton, down into Suwannee. Tallahassee's already seen what rain it's going to get. Likewise, in Valdosta, you may get just a little more, but eventually behind all this comes the cold front. And believe me, we'll actually start thinking about jackets, dare we say, especially compared to having highs near 90 for the last couple of weeks. We'll talk specifically about those numbers in a couple of minutes.
Finally, it's
right?
Yes. We look forward to it. Mike, thanks.
Thank you. Well, preschool is such a critical time for learning, and for many kids, visual clues play a big role in their development. A new study shows thousands of preschoolers are at a disadvantage, though, because of untreated vision problems.
Kenneth Craig tells us what parents need to know.
For 7-year-old Peyton Giffis, visits to the eye doctor are now like clockwork.
The circle or the square? The circle. Good job.
And it's for good reason. At just 2.5 years old, she was diagnosed with a condition called strabismus, a misalignment in her right eye that forced it to turn inward and required corrective surgery.
It was scary. It was definitely scary.
What letter do you see?
Since then, Peyton has been getting annual comprehensive eye exams, which Dr. Sasha Blazer says go far beyond the simple eye chart test at a school or in a pediatrician's office.
If a kid can read far away, they usually pass those eye tests. But when it comes to reading up close, they might have major difficulties that would not be detected. The words might look like they swim around on the page.
A recent study published in JAMA Ophthalmology finds more than 174,000 preschoolers have vision impairment, and the problem is growing.
Every child should have an eye exam. The American Optometric Association recommends it 6 months to get the first exam.
It's now become just one of those yearly examinations. Rather than waiting for a problem, it's now part of our every year routine.
Peyton hasn't had any issues since her surgery.
I'm happy that I don't have to get glasses because I don't want them.
And now she's focusing on 2nd grade. Kenneth Craig, CBS News, Jersey City, New Jersey.
And the doctors say possible signs of an eye problem could be kids holding a book too close, squinting, or frequently rubbing their eyes.
And it's very interesting that she mentioned, that they don't check up close, because I'm thinking back to our pediatrician visits, and it's always the sign on the wall.
That's right, and making sure they can read the blackboard in the distance.
Let's start ahead on Eyewitness News at 5. A pioneer in cancer treatment working right here in the Big Bend.
You'll meet the professor who helped create a leading chemotherapy drug and the patients benefiting from his work. That's our Health Alert next.